Hello, art education colleagues. My name is Donna Murray Teege. I am the Executive Director at the Warehouse Community Arts Center in Eagle River, Wisconsin. Today, I'm going to share a presentation titled Creating a Small Community Arts Nonprofit, a Blueprint for the First 5 Years. I'll begin by revealing a few of the theoretical frameworks that inform and shape just about everything I engage in. I have a BFA in industrial design and spent over 25 years as a professional designing products, exhibits, and environments. As a professional problem solver, I learned to look at design opportunities as challenges rather than problems. I do not like the term problem solving because solving implies there is only one answer. I prefer the term resolving because there is always more than one answer. I returned to academia to gain the credentials to teach and earned an MFA in art and design and a PhD in aesthetic education. I have taught design at the University of Illinois, art education at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, and graphic design at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. I have taught teaching design in K-12 online for Kent State. I have facilitated an online arts integration course for Boston University, and I currently facilitate a master's course in arts-based research for BU. I serendipitously ended up at the Warehouse Community Arts Center. I tell you all of this because each piece of my background has proven helpful in my new world. I look at everything as a design opportunity. I naturally employ the design process in everything I do. The objectives of my presentation are to address categories for consideration in creating your own community arts center. I'll cover planning as a recursive process, startup as an exploration, fundraising as a relentless, ever-present requirement, programming as a continuous evolution, marketing and promotion as compulsory communication, and I'll share a strategy to move your organization towards sustainability. The first step in creating a community arts center is to begin with an idea, visualize what it might be, brainstorm alternatives, and flesh it out. The warehouse was conceived in the early 2000s, but as potential grant funding waned, so did the reality of creating an arts center in those early days. However, good ideas die hard, and in 2012, local artisans Cheryl Lee Cornelli, Trista Langley Tyler, and Patty Katz Black began pulling together the beginnings of an organization dedicated to building an art center in Eagle River. Coinciding with their work, the Eagle River Revitalization Program dusted off the old studies, met the artisans, and became the supporting organization for the creation of this art center. Early passion was the seed that culminated in the creation of the Warehouse Four Seasons Center for the Arts. The warehouse was conceptualized as a versatile public space, dedicated to providing creative opportunities through educational offerings, performing arts, and civic engagement. The second step in the planning process was to formalize the idea by drafting a mission statement and, after interrogating what was important, to craft written values. On July 30th, 2012, the Warehouse, Inc. was incorporated as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Nonprofit incorporation usually involves these steps. Choose a business name that is legally available in your state and file for an EIN or employer identification number. Prepare and file your articles of incorporation with your state's corporate filing office and pay a filing fee. Create bylaws that will dictate how the corporation will be operated. Appoint an initial board of directors. Hold the first meeting of the board of directors, and apply for any licenses or permits that your corporation will need to operate in your state and local municipality. In the early days, the warehouse had no home. Its startup was an exploration. Early programming took place at multiple borrowed locations, from local parks to coffee houses, to local restaurants, to local artist studios. The warehouse employed ingenuity and accepted the generosity of business owners who believed that art contributed to the quality of life in the North Woods. These borrowed locations kept the overhead down and allowed for program flexibility. The three founders are pictured in the 4th of July parade photo on the left. After building some momentum, the next step in the process is to raise some capital. By 2015, the three founders, Cheryl, Trista, and Patty, had compiled enough of a track record to grab the attention of a donor willing to participate on a large scale. Robert and Sandra Winter confirmed their belief in the warehouse with a check for $150,000. This generous gift enabled the warehouse to think about securing a permanent home. On March 16, 2015, the warehouse nonprofit purchased a building in downtown Eagle River. This purchase returned the board of directors to the planning process. In its former life, the newly acquired building was a restaurant. Upon transaction of the sale, the warehouse became the owner of the building and all of the contents, as well as a three-way liquor license. I know, only in Wisconsin can an art center also be a bar. The building contained multiple indoor areas, 2 bathrooms, a full working kitchen, a bar, a screened porch, a courtyard, and a large parking lot. There was work to be done in converting the space to an art center, but the location was absolutely perfect. Looping back to startup, a mix of sweat equity through a volunteer workforce and professional help, i.e. a new roof, transformed the building located at 107 South Railroad Street in downtown Eagle River into a functioning art center. It took a while to address the different interior areas of the new building, so programming evolved gradually. As volunteers systematically worked on the new building, the vision of a space to enrich the community throughout the 4 seasons was being realized. Programming continued throughout the renovation, although much of it continued to take place at other venues. All programming at this point was run using ad hoc staff. Program areas included a mix of youth, art education, and performing arts events. In 2016, the warehouse board of directors made the decision to hire their first full-time employee. They hired an executive director. An executive director oversees all operations, functions, and activities. The executive director is the face of the organization, responsible for giving the proper strategic direction and implementing a high-quality vision. A successful executive director is an influential manager with ability to lead and motivate. A successful executive director has good communication skills and takes a holistic approach in managing the organization's operations. The new executive director entered with a background in dance and arts management. Educated in New York City, her vision included a capital campaign to rebuild the facility, adding a full theater, complete with stage and storage area for performing arts. The bar would be cut in half to make room for a small art gallery. The plan included a large classroom, a large ceramic studio, 2 ADA-compliant restrooms, a courtyard area complete with an outdoor kitchen, and multiple storage areas. A capital campaign is a rigorous attempt made by a nonprofit organization to raise major gifts for one specific goal or a variety of goals. Programming continued to ramp up as the capital campaign was rolled out. Meanwhile, the old kitchen was dismantled and turned into a ceramic studio with 4 electric wheels, a kick wheel, a slab roller, and 2 kilns. Fast forward to 2018. By April 2018, the capital campaign was going nowhere, and the programming schedule had been shrinking. The center was mostly quiet. At this point, programming consisted of 3 open studios per week in the ceramics area, which accounted for 10 hours of studio utilization. 2 3-meeting ceramics classes, accounting for 24 hours of studio utilization. 2 drop-in art play sessions for toddlers to 4K, 2 adventures in printmaking classes for K through 4 students, and 2 for grades 5 through 8, accounting for 6 hours of studio utilization, a pastel painting class requiring 5 hours of space utilization, an altered book class with 4 hours of utilization, and a figure drawing live model class with 2.5 hours of utilization. Ceramics, lifelong learning, and youth areas were represented on the schedule, but most of the classes in lifelong learning were canceled due to lack of enrollment. The drop-in class drew only 1 or 2 students. Most of the building was sitting idle much of the time. In April of 2018, the executive director resigned. The board began to question whether Eagle River could actually support a community arts center. They decided to give it one more shot and hired a new executive director. This is where I came in. I immediately conducted a SWOT analysis. The name is an acronym for the 4 parameters the technique examines. Strengths are characteristics of the business or project that give it an advantage over others. Weaknesses or characteristics that place the business or product at a disadvantage relative to others. Opportunities are elements in the environment that the business or project could exploit to its advantage, and threats are elements in the environment that could cause trouble for the business or project. SWOT assumes that strengths and weaknesses are frequently internal, while opportunities and threats are more commonly external. My early analysis revealed that the center was not connecting well with the community. There was little name recognition. The warehouse name did not indicate an association with the arts. Multiple logos were in use. The converted restaurant signage was inadequate. Many locals were intimidated by many of the class offerings. The center had a reputation for canceling classes. The facility was not conducive to movement-related activities due to its concrete floors. The facility was not being utilized at a level that it could support itself. Little coordination was taking place between related organizations in the area. The list goes on. So it was back to the drawing board. We went back to the beginning. The number 1 rule is to know your context. Even though I had been vacationing in the Eagle River area for over 50 years, I went back to the basics. Although the Warehouse Art Center is located in Eagle River with a population of 1,686 residents, we serve a 3-county area encompassing Vilas with a population of 22,195, Oneida with a population of 35,470, and Forest with a population of 8,991, as well as thousands of visitors who come to enjoy the Northwoods year-round. An important part of Eagle River's history relates to American Indians or First Peoples, who have inhabited Wisconsin for centuries, probably arriving about 10,000 years ago. The Ojibwa Lac du Flambeau tribe settled in Eagle River area in 1745, named by French trappers who observed them harvesting fish by torchlight. The Lac du Flambeau Reservation was officially established by the Treaty of 1854. Eagle River was the site of the first permanent Indian settlement in the Wisconsin Northwoods, located on the shores of Watersmeet Lake, where the Wisconsin River and Chain of Lakes meet. These early Indians were called Old Copper Indians and were succeeded by the Woodland Indians from 2600 BC to 800 AD. These Indians were probably the ancestors of the Chippewa, Potawatomi, and Menominee. Eagle River is known for being a popular Northwoods vacation town. Nicknamed the snowmobile capital of the world, snowmobiling is not the only popular winter sport. Others include ice hockey, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, and ice fishing. Because of the many lakes in the area, the city is a popular vacation home and retirement destination. Summer activities include boating on the chain of 28 lakes, water sports, and fishing. And of course, many people come up just to live with the wildlife. After taking a look at the programming history, we began to reintroduce aspects that had been popular in the past. The point was to get multiple offerings on the schedule just as soon as possible. As we began to refine the programming areas, our two biggest hurdles were to create enough activity to support the financial commitments associated with the building, and to overcome the negative reputation relating to canceled classes due to not meeting class minimums. Many people were hesitant to sign up because they had experienced numerous class cancellations. It became evident that thinking within the existing structure might not yield the results we needed to keep the facility open. We abandoned allegiance to previous forms and put function front and center. We revisited our mission statement and our values. We needed to optimize the function, ignoring the current form. In our return to first principle thinking, we identified assumptions, broke down what we knew was true, and traversed from there. This resulted in a shift in focus from art to creativity. Once we took a look from a fresh start, we could resume continuous improvement. We borrowed a business model from Krannert Center for the Performing Arts at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. Back in 2007, as a young, or maybe not so young scholar, I heard Krannert's director, Mike Ross, speak about no-brow art. To illustrate his point surrounding the classification of art into highbrow versus lowbrow, he juxtaposed the connection between a sitar, which is a plucked stringed instrument from the 18th century, and an electric guitar. Mike Ross elaborated by talking of multiple simultaneous cravings: classical, experimental, formal, informal, palace, street. Not this or that, but this and that. This outlook champions flexibility and embraces ambiguity as a means to explore. Like Krannert Center, the Warehouse Community Arts Center's goal is to be a great many things to a great many people. So how do you pay for such a business model? How do you make the financial pieces work? Zimmerman and Bell's matrix is a strategy for sustainability. Quadrant 1, high mission impact, low profitability. This quadrant represents why we are here, to provide creative opportunities for all, regardless of age, skill level, or economic situation. Quadrant 2, high mission impact, high profitability. This quadrant represents what we strive for, but realistically, we could never see all programming fall here. Quadrant 3, low mission impact, high profitability. This quadrant represents how we fund quadrant 1. Remember in the beginning, I said fundraising is relentless, an ever-present requirement. Quadrant 4, low mission impact, low profitability. This quadrant represents the things that we should avoid doing. As we further refined our programming areas, we borrowed more from Mike Ross's Krannert Center. Our programming philosophy evolved into a rich blending of classes, laboratory, public square, and yes, local pub. We branded our bar Inspiration Bar, and we use it as a money tree to fund our live music programs. We take a creative approach to programming, throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. If we fail, we don't do it again. Valuing failure, tolerating failure, having a tolerance for failure is absolutely necessary in order to fulfill creative potential. We keep this in mind throughout every area of our operation, from engagement with the board and volunteers in the shaping of the day-to-day offerings of the center. We are committed to the pursuit of excellence, but we are willing to try almost anything. We embrace opportunities for growth and change with courage. Some of our art ed classes are also laboratories as we embrace arts integration. This STEAMY class was held on the summer solstice, and we hired a local mathematician to teach the kids to calibrate their sundials to our latitude and longitude. This series was held at Northland Pines Elementary School due to transportation issues with the children. We embrace Lowenfeld's purpose of art education, to develop creativity so that it can transfer to other subjects and spheres of human activity. We tackled the concept of volume through a design project where the students became helmet designers. Here, the young students were introduced to the concept of orthographic drawing. The results were fabulous. Our STEAMY series offered varied project-based opportunities where students learned artistic techniques and concepts and applied them to projects that they could connect with. One of our most popular offerings in our lifelong learning category is Corks and Canvas. Of course, many of the images in my presentation were taken pre-COVID. You'll note that the ones with the masks are obviously during COVID. Our Arts and Aging program, sponsored by the Northwoods United Way, has been stifled during COVID, but we have time-slip certified instructors who visit members of our non-mobile population. Time-slips is a research-based approach that uses theater, storytelling, and other art modalities to develop an alternative concept of aging, focusing on possibilities as well as challenges, viewing emotional connection as critical to well-being, particularly as we age. This method celebrates imagination rather than memory and is particularly effective in cases of memory loss and dementia. The warehouse embraces this approach as beneficial to anyone in a senior age group, as a vehicle to celebrate creative, meaningful connection. These drawings are created by one of our seniors. Our public art program has grown in consistency. We currently offer live events every Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. These pictures were taken before we renovated the screen porch, which is now a year-round space. These are pre-COVID, post-renovation images of a series we did on Build Alaska. We invited a cameraman from the DIY channel and a carpenter who spent months in the Alaskan bush building a home. We host music live at Inspiration Bar every Friday night, but reserve the first Friday of each month for our open mic lab. Here, we have featured artists from age 11 all the way to age 89. Ceramics is our flagship area, falling into the high mission impact, high profit quadrant. Maybe not high profit, but at least it's in the profit quadrant. We offer classes in wheel throwing, hand building, and surface decoration for all levels. Most of our programming is held at our Eagle River location, but some still does occur off-site. For example, we hold raku firing at a local potter's studio to allow first-hand experience of the firing process. Hopefully, we will be building our own raku kiln in our own courtyard this spring. Sometimes we have to adapt our equipment to fit little people. Notice the pick in the upper right. See the block under the accelerator so the tiny foot can reach? We strive to include offerings for all ages and skill levels. Our intergenerational offerings are quite popular with the retired grandparents. During the winter, we have been known to take to the outdoors and sculpt a giant snowmobile right on the trail. After all, Eagle River is the snowmobile capital of the world. There is an amazing transference between chainsaw log carving in the summer and snow sculpting in the winter. As our programming calendar continued to fill in, we hired a half-time person in September of 2019. Our creative arts coordinator wears just as many hats as I do, but hiring her was a step closer in inching towards critical mass, the number of bodies needed to keep everyone sane. In September of 2020, we added 6 hours a week earmarked solely for bookkeeping and record keeping. From a space utilization standpoint, we continue to improve our building and often have more than one offering happening at a time. Even with COVID, here is a look at February 2021. We normally have a Super Bowl fundraiser at a local pub, but COVID prevented that this year. Still, I think we are doing well under these circumstances. So how do we market and promote these offerings? Currently, we spend very little money on marketing and advertising. We make use of everything that is available for free. We send weekly press releases to our 2 local newspapers, the Lakeland Times and the Vilas County News Review. We send to our local radio stations, WRJO and Coyote 93.7. We send to the Eagle River Chamber of Commerce, since we are members. We send to the Vilas County Office of Tourism and Publicity. We have 960 in our constant contact database. We use a free scheduling website called Later to push out social media content in regular intervals. We have 1,880 followers on Facebook. We have 463 followers on Instagram, and we only have 190 on Twitter, but we're working on that. Facebook offers all sorts of assistance to help us monitor how we are doing. We are getting better at capturing data relating to physical participation. It is easy relating to classes, but public art events are more difficult to quantify. We do spend some money on ads, but are very careful where we spend in this area. The Northwoods Artist Directory is an annual publication of the Northwoods River News and the Lakeland Times. It lists artists in northern Wisconsin and Michigan's Upper Peninsula. In addition to interior ads, the warehouse is a member of a group called Arts Up North, and collectively we purchase the centerfold each year. Artists within this directory love to be contacted to discuss their creative processes and reveal their inspirations. Questions are answered, ideas are shared, demonstrations are given, stories are told, and a variety of artwork is available for purchase in their own studios. We also purchase an ad in the Northwoods Art Tour brochure. For 20 years, the Northwoods Art Tour has offered access to beautiful art and art making in the individual studios located in Wisconsin's Northwoods. The brochure includes a map of private artist studios dotted all over the area. 2 3-day weekends a year, these studios open in unison and provide personal encounters with painters in oil and acrylic, watercolor, and pastel, potters, photographers, wood carvers, furniture makers, jewelers, quilters, weavers, fiberworks, stained and hot glass artists, printmakers, sculptors, and gourd designers, all in their natural habitats, their personal studios. Many visitors who do not live in the area try to schedule their visits to the Northwoods to coincide with these art tours. It's a big deal. With the help of the local high school shop class, we added a community arts center sign to our building. The shop students designed the letters using CAD and cut them with a computer-driven plasma cutter. Then they welded the pieces together and added mounting bars. A powder coater took over from there, and paid contractors assembled the signage to the roof. Eagle River's Main Street program provided a small grant to cover most of the materials. We also secured permission from our next-door neighbor to paint a mural on the side of his building, so we looked more like a community arts center. We got the community involved in Phase 1, and in Phase 2, a local artist took over. We use limited direct mail, but we do publish an annual piece that we include in our year-end campaign. We use our front windows to display handmade items created by our artists. When an item sells, a percentage goes to the artist and a percentage stays with the warehouse. This gives local, upcoming artists who do not have galleries of their own a chance to sell some of their art. Of course, we have a website. You can find us at www.eagleriverart.com. We cultivate relationships with many banks, and they help increase our visibility. This year, we were actually featured in a local Super Bowl commercial with People's State Bank. They also featured us in a PPP video late in 2020. I can't get this to play inside my PowerPoint video, but you are welcome to go to the YouTube link and take a look. Fundraising in a nonprofit environment requires creativity and diversification. Everyone involved in a nonprofit participates in fundraising. In the past, we've held golf outings and bowling tournaments. We've partnered with the local Rotary Club and run the concessions for the annual Muskie tournament. We sell raffle tickets before Christmas to give everyone a chance at some shopping money. In a perfect world, each board member takes the lead in an area that they have a connection to. Fundraising is relentless, but asking gets easier when you believe in the product you're providing. Our ceramics department spearheads an empty bowl event each year. We partner with local restaurants and collect food for the Vilas County Food Bank. We are evolving from having one fundraiser a month to having 1 or 2 larger fundraisers per year. We can do this now that we have more visibility, and we need to do it to conserve the energy of our volunteers. We add a donation button to all of our live streams. Inspiration Bar supports the live music program. We keep donation buckets visible throughout our facility. Remember in the beginning when I said fundraising is a relentless, ever-present requirement? We dedicate 6 pages on our website to raising support. As a nonprofit organization, we depend on generosity and support to make the warehouse a place that serves a wide audience. We ask for donations of charitable gifts, time, and skills. We include a Donate Now button for quick response. We cover questions like why donate and describe sponsorship levels. We describe what we are looking for in a volunteer, in an intern, in a teacher. We list our partners, corporate, institutional, private foundations, and government. Although fundraising is a relentless requirement, we acknowledge that there is more than one currency. In-kind donations are valuable too, as are volunteers. Many people have more time than money. Others have more money than time. Both are cherished. We appreciate all currencies, and we try to say thank you in a number of ways. We are getting better at grant writing and asking for help from local corporations. There is help out there. If you're not good at grant writing, recruit or hire someone who is. I hope you have found something in my presentation that might help you. Consider approaching planning as a recursive process involving cycles of experience. Approach startup as an experimental exploration. Embrace the studio habit of mind of stretch and explore. Approach fundraising as a relentless, ever-present requirement. It will take persistence. Stay the course. Approach programming as a ceaseless evolution. Be resilient. Failure is instructive. Use it to move forward. Approach marketing and promotion as compulsory communication to get the conversation started. Once the word is out, have big eyes and big ears and listen to what the community wants. Approach sustainability as a strategy. Be patient. Realize that things will take time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Put your emphasis on community. natural, meaningful, extraordinary human encounters with beautiful, joyful, intelligent, playful activities that are dynamic, vibrant, skill-centered, theory-centered, social interactions. Create an art center that is many things to many people. It's a worthy endeavor. Thank you. Since this is an on-demand presentation, unfortunately, I can't take questions in the conventional manner. However, I am happy to take questions at donna@eagleriverart.com. Also, if you find yourself in the area, please stop in. If you plan to stay a while, contact me if you might be interested in teaching something. I will close with the link to the video produced by People's State Bank, who helped us secure a PPP loan to make it through the shutdown. Thank you for your interest.